one graduate of the Academy, sport fitness management major. She's currently working at Pro Health in Mobile. We've had a number of students over there doing mentorship. Mary can talk about her experience with them. She also lives in the same apartment complex as Gloria Lee. So I'm sure if you ask Gloria afterwards all the things you want to know about Mary that you're afraid to ask her, she'll tell you. One of the things that I try to do in picking out convocation speakers is I'm an avid reader of the only major newspaper in the area, the Mobile Press Register. And I saw some quotes in there by Mary after a race, and I was really impressed with her comments about competition, cooperation, running, and I thought it fit into some of the things that are discussed in the sport and society class. And in talking to Mary and having her come to the Academy, one of the things that she said, she was impressed with another one of our graduates, a lady by the name of Pam Nash. Pam Nash is the wife of Carl Nash, who was the coach last year at Spring Hill, 2 years ago at Spring Hill College, and now was at Clemson this past year, and now will be the assistant coach at Auburn under Coach Ellis. And Pam felt that Mary thought that when she was here as a student, she appreciated the comments that Pam made and had some influence on her profession. So we hope that Mary's comments this morning will have some impact on you with your profession. I've given her, as we always do with all of our speakers, free reign to speak about anything that she would like. But I like to introduce Mary to you. She's a runner, a physical fitness authority, and we think that her remarks will be well received this morning. We welcome you to the Academy, Mary.
When Mr. Snyder asked me to speak, I said, "Are you sure?" Because I am what I call an ordinary, everyday person. And I know some of the speakers that have been invited here. But I'm not going to downplay myself, because I think that if you get one thing from me today, that's what's important. So something I say hopefully will strike you. I'm just going to give you a little bit of my background. I am from Louisiana, not Boston. I know I talk funny. That's what everybody says. I'm a Cajun. I went to LSU and got a BS in elementary education, believe it or not. I was a school teacher for 5 years. I taught 4th grade and just couldn't see myself teaching the rest of my life. At the same time that I was teaching, I got a master's degree in educational counseling. So I thought, okay, I'm going to be a guidance counselor. That'll be something different that I can do. Well, that didn't work out because those positions were just very hard to get unless you were in the public school system, and I was in the private sector, and that's where I wanted to be. So that didn't work out, and I kept searching and saying there's something out there for me. My undergraduate decision to be a teacher kind of happened because it was still the time where what were women going to be? They were going to be nurses or teachers, right? So I was going to be a teacher. And I don't regret that, but my message is that we don't go to college to be someone. We are someone, and I was someone, but I just didn't know what I wanted to do. So I looked at my life and what I was doing. I said, okay, Mary, you love teaching. It's okay. You like it. Counseling was great. I had the background, but I wanted to use it. And at the same time, I was teaching aerobics. And that's what brought me into the fitness aspect. I was in a class every day, like clockwork, after school to relieve stress. And the teacher, she wouldn't show up. So they said, well, Mary, you do it. And I said, I can't do this. I'm not going to get up in front of her. So I called out the class, and they encouraged me to be an aerobic instructor. So I said, okay, if I'm going to do this, I'm going to go to workshops, I'm going to get certified. And I started teaching aerobics, and I started studying exercise science through APA. I'm certified under the American Fitness and Aerobic Association. And then my brother came to a sports academy, and I said, gosh, this is what I want to do. He was a fitness management major as well. And everyone thought I was crazy. They're like, you're going to give up your stability and go and do this. And yes, I did. It was a big risk, moved here, came to the academy, and worked really hard. The reason I had to work doubly hard was because my background was not in exercise physiology. Before I came to the academy, I was under Dr. Joseph. He told me to get an anatomy and physiology book and study it and then come. Well, I did a little more than that, and I took correspondence courses. And as you know, exercise physiology is very hard without a teacher. So I worked hard, worked myself up, enjoyed the academy. I put a lot into it. The research has helped me. It's helped me in my career. Graduated from here, and well, actually my internship was in New Orleans. I went to do an internship at Mercy Wellness Center. And as you know, your internship is very important. And I chose to do mine in cardiac rehabilitation and fitness because I didn't know where my niche was. I didn't know which I wanted to do. And when I came back from my comprehensive exams, there happened to be a job opening at Pro Health, which I lived here 9 months and hadn't been to Pro Health. So I didn't even know of the place, but I found out about the job opening, went for an interview on the same day as my graduation, 3-hour interview. I think they were playing, pomp and circumstance, and here I'm running up and saying, I'm coming. But Pro Health is where I work now. It is a fitness and rehabilitation center. We do have cardiac rehabilitation, but I chose not to do that. It's too slow for me. I like people that really want to come into exercise. General public is what I work with. Our department has what we call 4 exercise physiologists, and I'm one of those. At Pro Health, before you come, you have to fill out a health history questionnaire, and you need some type of screening. So we don't let you just come in and say, okay, go ahead and exercise. Here's the equipment. We do assessments. This is what I do pretty much all day long. I take 5 appointments. I see anyone from the age of 16 to 80 plus. I sit down and discuss goals, take measurements, and get a good assessment of that person and from their design and exercise program. And then we show people through the equipment. I do a little secretarial work, making appointments. I get out. We go to schools, do health fairs. I've been asked to speak at several places on fitness and exercise. I'm going to get to go to school next week. So there's a lot of opportunity for you as a fitness management graduate. On the side, besides my 40-hour week at Pro Health, I do teach some aerobic classes. I enjoy doing that. I really love teaching beginners the most because so many people are intimidated. It's like, I can't do that. And it's like, yes, you can. I've been working at a Scott Pinker company. We opened their fitness center for them. It's run by Pro Health. So that's been a little bit of the corporate fitness aspect, if you like that. I was offered a position there to run the facility, but I turned it down because it's not where I want it to be. It just, when the job is right for you, and for several reasons, it just wasn't right at the time, but I still go out there and teach classes there. I also do personal training. I set up a personal training program here at the Eastern Shore YMCA. First time I was turned down with my proposal, and the second time they decided, hey, let's give this a try. I started the program, and without advertising, I had 30 clients within a year. It was rough. It's like, how many hours in a day? But there was a need. People were coming up to me, and they wanted to know what to do. And I think our time is precious. And if you're going to get in that gym and work out, then you need to know what's right for you. So that's basically why I started that. And now I'm happy to say I turned it over to someone else who's in charge of it. And there are 4 of us that do personal training. So that's another little avenue that you can take too. So I don't have a lot of spare time, but I do love to run. And my running career is probably unusual. Pretty different. I didn't run in high school. I didn't run in college. My first race was when I was a teacher. There was a 5K, and I ran it, and I placed second overall. I didn't even know to look at the clock. Everybody's like, well, what's your time? I'm like, what time? I went from start to finish, and I did really well. I was just real naive. I was running for the fun of it. So I moved here, and I ran a 10K down at the Grand Hotel. It's the Victory Bowl race. It was it's about my third race. I did a 10K in the Crescent City Classic, which is pretty big, and then I came here and did that 10K and cut 4 minutes off my time. And that 4 minutes was because I was doing hill training is speed work in disguise. And that was the only thing I did different. And I had, like I said, 4 minutes, cut off my best 10K time and came out second again. And my greeting from the local runners, 2 women who were tops at the time, were not, "Hey Mary, where are you from? It's good to have you." They looked at me and said, "Where are you from?" And I was just crushed because it was like, why aren't they welcoming me? I just ran a race. I just did a good job, you know. So I just kept running, and I wasn't very popular in their eyes, but the other people, you know, they were cheering me on and saying, "Go, Mary." You know, in each race, I'd do better and better. And I had 9 consecutive wins locally. And for the Red Cross run, I had set a state course record. And I didn't know that I had this talent. I'll be honest with you, I didn't do any speed work at all. I just had this God-given talent. I was running about a 6-minute mile. And it's amazing to me to look back, because when I look at my times, I didn't know that they were that good at the time. So anyway, I was going to run the Azalea Trail, which is the biggest race here. The biggest race, you know, in Mobile. It's what everybody talks up and works toward. It's my first time to do that race. And before the race, I went to pick up my number at the expo, and one of the top local runners came up to me and said, "Well, didn't you hear?" And I said, "Hear what?" "Well, there's big controversy that they don't know if they should consider you as the top, you know, local woman or a local woman." And I said, "Why not?" They said, "Because you're a student at the academy and you're from Louisiana, and where are you going to go from here?" And I said, "Well, right now I live in Daphne. I don't know where I'm going to go after this race, but right here and now, I thought I was a local." So my parents came into town because they were going to watch the race, and I went home all teary-eyed, and I said, "I'm just not going to do the race then. If it's causing such a big controversy, I just won't do it." And my dad said, "Oh, come on, Mary, just go have a good time, don't worry about it." So I called Dr. Carroll, and I said, "Dr. Carroll, am I like hanging from a cloud or something? Am I a local resident?" He's like, "Yeah, Mary, don't worry about it. Just go have a good time." So I was steaming. At the beginning of the race, I was just furious because of this, and just took off. Ran, got my own little space, my own little world was focused. And that same person, that local woman, I thought she won. I came through the finish line and she was coming toward me, and I said, "Oh, congratulations." And she said, "I dropped out of the race." And I said, "But why?" And she said, "Because I saw you take off at that first mile and I knew I couldn't beat you." So she dropped out. And I looked at her and I said, "I am so sorry that you feel that way." And my message to you is there's a different way to look at competition. I am not a big competitor against other people, I should say. Against myself, like Todd said, my times, that course, just doing my best for that day. What? I was expected to perform. Everybody would point to me and like, "That's a girl. That's a girl runner. She's going to win the race today." And how did they know that? And still, they do say that. When I started coming second, then it was like, "Whoa, did you have a bad day? What's wrong with you?" I'm like, "Nothing's wrong with me. This just wasn't my day." So I had to say, "Okay, am I going to keep doing this?" Because if you ask me to perform, I probably won't do well. I don't like the stress and the pressure. I'm still running, but I've had several mishaps. One, I had an accident, was hit by a truck while running in Lake Forest. So that threw me back for a while. Learned a lot about rehab and doing it myself. So I have empathy for injuries. I had a stress fracture. So I was out of running for a while. But my proudest accomplishment lately has been to run a marathon. I trained to run the Pensacola Blue Angel Marathon this February, just to see if I could do it. And I think for your first marathon, your goal is to go from start to finish. At least that was for me. But with my potential, my brother, who's an excellent runner, had this little training plan. He's like, Mary, you can do this. You can do this like in 3:03 with your best 10K times calculated. He sent me a training schedule, and I looked at him and said, I'm going to go from start to finish. This is my first one. So I did. I was real relaxed. I finished with a time of 3:16, and that's pretty good for a first-time marathon. If you're not familiar with time, I mean, a 2:50, 3 hours is excellent, but a 3:16, stopping for a potty break, that's pretty good. So now I know I can do it, and my goal, my newest goal is to do more marathons. I know I want to do better than 3:16, and I think I can. Marathon training has messed with my 10K, 5K times. You cannot train your body for a marathon and a 5 or 10K at the same time. You train your body for a marathon to run hours, 2 or 3 hours. And so my 10K and my 5K times are not good. They're stinking for me. So everybody's saying, well, what happened? What happened? I mean, it's okay. I feel a lot of pressure. Well, I did. I don't anymore. I just kind of laugh about it. And the quote that you read in the newspaper was, my first race back after the marathon, I needed time to recover. And everybody's like, no, Mary, don't do this race. Save up for the big Azalea Trail. I said, no, I'm not. I just want to see what a starting point. So I went down to the Spring Beaver Chase, and there weren't a lot of people there because everybody does save up. Your locals will not run that race usually because you don't run a 10K, then run another 10K again so soon. And I did. And there was a girl from Canada that was visiting here in spring break, and she won. And everybody thought she was a top local, so they ran up to her after the race and asked her name and if she was a threat to the Azalea Trail top local women. And Eddie Kern came and interviewed me, and I just kind of walked away at first because I knew what it was going to be. They talk this race up so much, and they play the local people against one another, and I don't want to do that. So the comments that I made were that I'm not a threat to anyone. Don't worry. I knew I wasn't going to have a good 10K time, not my best for the Azalea. And I believe in cooperation. There are some good top local women here, and I believe in working with them, not against them. I mean, I have dreams that we were finishing together across the finish line just because that's how I feel. A lot of women are driven by money, and that was why I got the slack I did about the Azalea Trail. I didn't know this until after the race, but I won $100. So I was after someone's pride. They wanted the prize money, which I didn't even know I was getting. And stained glass, but people don't really care about that. And it's all what your goals are. I'm not saying that that's wrong and I'm right. I'm just telling you my perspective on competition. It doesn't have to be a negative thing. I mean, you all heard the Tanya Harding story, and why would you want to hurt someone for a prize? Second thing I saw here that I didn't like in the running community was it was an 8K race down in Saraland, and there were 3 top local women. I was ahead, and then there was a girl right behind me, and then another one. And the third girl passed out, just keeled over. I didn't know this till after the race. The girl that was behind me passed her up and left her there. I hope that I would never do that for second or first place. I mean, if I see someone hurt, and I think that's common courtesy to want to help sportsmanship, stop and help that person. So I've seen some things that I know that I don't want to be part of. I'm still out there running, and I am cheering on for the person this is your first 10K, and I'm for that person because my job is fitness. Road races kind of encourage people, whether you're a walker or a runner. You walk 5 days a week. It's pretty boring. You're getting tired of it. So go do a race, meet some people. Go against your own times. Might win a door prize or two. I've never won any, but let me talk a little bit more off that running spiel about fitness management and your opportunities. After I left here, I was at ProHealth a year, and I decided to go for my ACSM certification. There are two tracks for ACSM. One's a clinical track, which is fitness specialist, more EKGs and clinical cardiac rehab, and then there's the fitness track. The fitness track has 3 certifications. The first one is a fitness leader, they call it, and that's like an aerobic instructor. Second one is a fitness instructor leader, and then fitness director. Well, I skipped the first one because I already have my AFA aerobic certification as well as personal training certification. So I went for the second certification. I was at the Ken Cooper Aerobic Institute, which is a very nice place. If you've never been there, certainly go visit it. Just being there was like being in the ideal situation. Lots of research going on, outdoor track, fitness facility. I spent the week there for the workshop. I strongly suggest that you do go to the workshop, especially for the practical part of the exam. It's a written practical exam for you to take. The written part I missed by 1 point. I'm like, can you score that over? And I had to go back. My immediate reaction was, forget it, I'm not going back. Practical part, I passed with flying colors, and that was important to me because that's what I do in my everyday job. So I did go back, and I did pass, and I'm proud of that because it's not an easy test. It's a broad gambit of information. They don't give you a clear outline as what to study, and when we went to the workshop, the lectures that were given, the first thing out of the lecturer's mouth was, we never see the test. And everybody's like, well, why are you lecturing to us? And they just can only talk about diabetes or aging and fitness, but they don't see the test. So it's a very, very broad scope of information. I'd be glad to be a resource person if you're interested in that. I can give you some tips, do's and don'ts. Use me. I have some cards that I'll give you afterwards. I am called Miss Resource Person at ProHealth. I have a lot of information. I have a resource file. My running career has put me in contact with a lot of people. That name. So that's been good for me. My job at ProHealth is what I love to do, but I have been offered, like I said, corporate fitness positions. So if you are in fitness management, you might want to do your internship or mentorship in that, cardiac rehabilitation. We'd love to have some of you at ProHealth where you could do a little bit of everything. You could do cardiac rehab and fitness. I just joined, and I don't know if any of y'all have heard of the National Association for Adult Fitness. I'm going to be listed. It's kind of like, I don't want to say yellow page because it's not, but it's a resource book where they put in top physicians, top exercise physiologists, and it's a resource manual. So I'll be listed in that. The reason I'm doing that is, and I encourage you, is to get out there, make yourself known. Let people know what you're looking for. I sent out about 50 resumes and didn't hear a thing. I came here and said, oh, there's a job opening at ProHealth, go see. You need to talk to people and tell them what you're looking for. And also find out inside yourself what it is that you want to do every day. When you wake up, you want to go to your job, hopefully. And I can say I've been at ProHealth almost 3 years. It'll be 3 years in August. Not a day that I can say, oh, I work today, because there's such a variety of things for me to do there. I'm going to stop and let you ask questions about, I don't know exactly how many fitness management people are there here. Are there? Sport coaching. I have a word for y'all. Encourage young people. I had this potential inside, this gift to run, but it wasn't tapped into, and probably because I didn't look like your typical girl runner. Like, oh, we got her pegged. No, she's not going to run. There wasn't a girls cross country team. You know, my dad's still like, oh, girls running. No, they don't do that, you know. But, you know, tap in, look at not just children, but don't doubt the potential. You know, work with it. And you might have one of your best runners or athletes that way. Any questions? No?
Say anything about salaries? What people get as a personal trainer?
Personal training, in California, you know, it's like $25, $30. Around here, New Orleans was charging like $20 an hour. Here, 20, 25. But I don't get that. Since my program's set up through the Y, they get a percent of it. But it's getting up there. It's, you know, not what it should be. I've had the opportunity to go to a lot of physicians' houses, people with home gyms, and that's been real interesting to me. They come and say, you know, I'm building this house, please, I want a home gym, tell me what I need. Yes.
Mary, talk about the entrepreneurial opportunities in the area of fitness and, you know, clinical types of things.
Like?
Well, like personal trainers are basically self-employed, aren't they?
Pretty much, yeah. Yes, you're right. I'm just not willing to take that risk right now, but yes, you certainly can. I don't know around here if there's that much of an opportunity for that. If you locate it in a specific area, like right now, I can tell you that Point Clear down there, there's definitely opportunity if you want to go down there. But sad to say, people don't want to pay around here. You know, they just, for a personal trainer, they might have you a couple of times, show me what to do, help me. I've had one client for a year and all the others. But my goal as a personal trainer is that once I teach you what to do, you're not going to need me anymore. You know, so you kind of put yourself out of business so you can go on to the next person and the next. But I've only had, like I said, one client for a year.
Do you do any interval training?
I don't do any speed training like I should. I still don't. I just, for one thing, time, but I'm using that as an excuse. I don't like speed training. You know, I went to the track once before my marathon to train, and if I'm going to be a good marathoner, I have to get to that track at least once a week because your speed work and your distance, your long runs are the key to doing a good marathon. So, like I said, I went to the track once, but hill training is good speed work. I do a lot of hills around here.
Well, I'm from Oregon, and most of the marathoners, like Roberto Salazar, they probably have about 50% of their work is in interval training, like repeat quarters and repeat halves and things like that.
That's right.
And I think that if you get into interval training, you'll be able to make the transition from the 5K to the marathon without any trouble.
I will do it. I will do it. Staying injury-free is important too. I work with a lot of athletes, triathletes, and put them on that weight training just to prevent injury. I believe strongly in that cross-training. Pro Health is wonderful. I would really encourage you to come visit because the atmosphere changes throughout the day. We open at 5. In the morning is the geriatric time, I call it. It's the older people. Well, it's true. I mean, the majority of our clients are 60 plus, and it will be in the year 2000. That's who you're targeting. I'm not making fun of them. They love exercise. They're just sorry they waited so long. We have a class called Body Recall, and it's for stroke victims. They sit in their wheelchairs. They have tubing, and they do exercise. We have Arthritis Aquatics. Our pool, it's very famous. Our lap swimmers and our arthritis people are constantly battling because the temperature of the water is very warm. 88 to 90 for lap swimmers is pretty high, you But we see athletes, we see people crossing over from physical therapy, people with injuries. We say if you can walk in our front door, we can design a routine for you for exercise. I've had to turn one person down. He was paraplegic, and he needed a certain device to get in the pool, in and out. And he also wore a bag and couldn't control his bodily functions. So we had to turn him down. But we worked with him, we tried. We couldn't. So anytime, be my guest, come and see, particularly if you're fitness session. Yes.
What do you find are the success ingredients of your training programs? You know,
Perseverance. My success, I really wish I had more time to train. I enjoy running. I wouldn't do it if I did, if it wasn't a love of mine. I don't know if you've ever gone on a run or any kind of workout where you feel focused when everything is in sync. That's a good feeling, and I'll work toward that. I can tell you when I'm going to have a lousy race and when I'm going to have a good race when everything's in sync. Training is important. I mean, to be a good runner, you have to run. What's taken away from my training also is all the classes that I teach. Yes.
Nutritionally, what do you do when you're training?
Carbohydrate load every day. You've heard, carbohydrate loading. If you eat, especially as active as I am, and most of you are too, 60 to 70% minimum carbohydrates. I cut my protein out just to try that and see, because I had to eat so many carbohydrates. Don't do it. I'm going to tell you that I really messed up when I wasn't eating enough total calories. Is how I got my stress fracture. I read a lot of research, and I went and see Nancy Clark speak. She's one of my favorite sports nutritionists, and I felt like she's speaking directly to Mary Comeaux. She is. What I did was I was putting in all these miles, training hard, and it wasn't that I was starving myself, because I don't believe in that, but I wasn't eating enough total calories across the board for my activity, and my body knew it, and it broke down. Complicated with the fact that I have a low estrogen level and wasn't taking calcium. So I got a stress fracture, and I'm like, gosh, I can rearrange my training here and start to eat more. It's hard to eat a lot of carbohydrates. It really is. I found myself like, gosh, I'm going to float away because you store so much water with them. So I worked with a sports nutritionist and am eating to be healthy. I think that's important too. And that's my goal, is to be healthy. But yes, I do work on my eating to make sure I'm eating enough for my activity. And probably still not, because I'm so active and I don't take the time. But that is a key ingredient to your training, most definitely. That if you ever met a runner too, ask them about their pre-race rituals. I'm sure Gloria knows, Todd. Your pre-race, what you're going to eat the night before it's too late, okay? So if someone asks you, well, do I need a carb load for this big 10K coming up? No, because if you eat sensibly all week long and get those carbohydrates in, you'll be okay. Now for a marathon, yes, you definitely need to start like that Thursday, that week before. But that carbo loading is being pushed out pretty much, except if you do activity for 90 minutes or more. And I don't know if you seen the food pyramid, well, the new servings that they put out, and now we're encouraging people to eat carbohydrates. It's a myth that they're fattening. It's what you put on them. We also have the sports, not a sports nutritionist, but 2 registered dietitians at Pro Health, and she meets with our members for free consultations, so they get the best of it, exercise, and let's see what we can do with our eating. Any other questions? I am going to go to Boston, so look for my name. I didn't go this year because I didn't have enough time to recover, and I thought of doing another 20-miler. Oh, by the way, for my marathon training, I didn't go up to 26 miles, and that's, I read and said, oh, I'm not going to finish. I went up to 24 miles in my longest run, and to do better, I have to do 26 to 28, I believe that now. But when I got to 24, I said, I'm going to finish this thing. I'm not doing any more. And in your training, and what I did wrong the first time was I was doing long miles every Sunday. You don't do that. It's like every other week I do like 10 and then 20. And then I'd go up to back to 9 and then do 18 and then go back and forth like that. But just to finish, I didn't feel like I needed to do more than what I did. I was talking to the runners before, and they're like, well, what did you go up to? And everybody was saying, well, what was your highest mileage before this? And one guy wouldn't tell me until after the race, and he didn't do really well, and he said I only went up to 18. Well, I think if you can do 20, you can do 26. When I got to mile 20, when you're supposed to hit the wall, and I don't know really what that feels like because I've never hit the wall because I don't push hard enough probably. But I got to mile 20 and it was just the opposite. I guess I was anticipating what everyone said, Mary, you're going to hit the wall at mile 20. Don't worry, just got a 10K left, 6 miles. I kicked in. I had my best 10K probably at the end. I finished really strong, and that was what I wanted to do. So I tell you what, the first 4 miles, though, it's not fun. Until you see 2-digit numbers, it's just not fun. But it's just a goal. I mean, challenge yourself in whatever your sport. Be the best that you can be. You can be a good walker. You can be an example to people.
Any other questions? So we thank you, Mary.
All right. I did bring some applications for Pro Health. If you want to pick one up, and if for anything, just look at the procedure that we go through. This is our health history questionnaire that our members come, they pick up, get it signed by a physician, and then we take it from there to design a routine for them. Yes.
If our students wanted to tour your facility, where are you looking?
We're on Spring Hill Avenue, Government to Broad, going over to Spring Hill. I don't know if most of you know Old Providence. If you're not from here, you probably don't even know that. But over to Government Broad Street, it's about 6 lights down on Spring Hill Avenue. And our address is not on here. Of course, it's a P.O. box. You won't find that. I'll be glad to tell you specifically how to get there on your map. Okay, but yes, come by and see it. All right, just ask for Mary Comeaux. Have a free workout. All right, thanks.
Mary, we really do thank you. I think some of the best speakers that we have had over the 2 years at least that I've been at the Academy are people who are graduates of the Academy, and they speak from the heart and speak and tell people how it is actually. I think we all have images of how the different professions that you can go into from the Academy might work out. It's always good to hear somebody that's out there on the firing line and what they're doing. So we thank you once again, Mary. A couple of announcements. Next week on Thursday, May the 12th, there's been a sign-up sheet down at the information desk as you go into the academic wing. And one of the things we'd like to call to your attention, the artwork that's in the gallery now is by a man by the name of Christopher Gabrione, and he's famous for the large mural that he did in the last Olympics when they had this mural in the outfield of the baseball stadium. And he will be here next Thursday. There will be a reception from him from 5:30 to 7:30. And if you're a member of the ASAMA organization, remember when you paid your alumni dues and you joined your ASAMA membership at the beginning of the quarter, and then you probably received an invitation to this event in the mail. There's a sign-up sheet down at the desk. The reason we'd like to know how many people are coming, that's in order to know how much food, it's hors d'oeuvres and beverages. And if you could give us some indication of whether you'll attend or not. That would be helpful in our planning. The rumor is that Cristobal Dabrion will be making a donation to the Academy and has one of these large murals in mind for some part of the building. And I think probably what he'll have with him will be a model. We're not real clear on the details. There's another project that he's working on with the Academy, and that has to do with doing a piece at the Atlanta Olympics, which is coming up. So if you'd like to meet some of the other ASAMA members, you are invited to come to this event, 5:30 to 7:30, Thursday, May the 12th. Anyone else have any announcements?
The winter quarter Master's Sports Science written comprehensive exams will be on Saturday, May 21st, and some of you have not completed enough hours to be eligible for this go round of the written comprehensive exams. But when you are ready to take written comprehensive